Have you noticed that in all the great temples of antiquity, whether it be the Karnak temple in Egypt, the Uruk sanctuary in the valley of the two rivers, or the Chichen Itza in the Maya, there is hardal, not a decorative bronze mirror, not a soothsayer's obsidian disc, but a mirror that reflects the whole self, the true reflection. This is no accident. When the Egyptian pharaoh Ramses II built the Temple of Luxor in 1283 BC, he left a mysterious injunction in the priestly records. Do not bring anything reflective into the temple. It will tear apart. The phrase, which appears on the back of a stone tablet that has broken off, was never included in the public archives. It wasn't until 2009 that a team of French archaeologists discovered it in the PR. They call it the Mirror Pact, but that was only the beginning. In the Sumerian sacrificial laws, there is an almost unheard of phrase, nam ma an siga, meaning folded vision. It was considered a blasphemous visual act, i.e., seeing one's backside before God. Almost unanimously, all ancient civilizations were eerily wary of mirrors. It was not that the technology was unattainable, bronze polishing was already well established in the Shang dynasty, but that it reflected more than just an image. Mirrors in the temples were a sea. Why? One explanation comes from the notes of the disciples of Pythagoras, a Greek philosopher of the 5th century BC. In their chapter on optics and the reflection of the soul, they wrote, "The Erigia, if mirrored in the Holy Land, the shard will detach itself from its host and return to chaos." What a strange thought, that a simple mirror in a sacred place could be a passageway for the soul from the body. Was this merely a superstitious projection of the unknown by the ancients? Or did Next to an ancient mirror disc at the Mayan site of Totonicapán, archaeologist Hermann Kester found a fire-scorched slate record that blurrily reads, "Mirrors make it impossible for the gods to disguise." This quote, which has been denied public exhibition by the National Museum of Mexico to this day. The reason is, there is no archaeological consensus. But why, we ask, is the mirror a perfectly orbed? Have we underestimated the true significance of reflection in today's age of optics and psychology? Or is it that the silent stone statues, the closed chambers and the light-sensitive passages of the Freiman, is it really about preventing a visual encounter that we don't yet understand? And what lies behind this visual taboo, the truth that we shouldn't see? When you gaze into the mirror, gaze. Curse of the Mirrors. Chapter 2, to be revealed soon. Ancient Egypt entered the Middle Kingdom in 2050 BC. The architecture of the temples changed dramatically during this period. The colonnades were deepened, the light was dimmed, and the idols were pla. And in chapter 125 of the Book of the Dead, a piece of ritual literature reads, "The God of mirrors and shadows must not be allowed to enter the hall of measure. It disturbs the heart of the scales. It is not Ra, the sun god, or Osiris, the god of the underworld, but some kind of visualization. It cannot be seen, but once you see yourself in sacred space, you have awakened it." Even more strikingly, thousands of kilometers away in ancient Sumer, a ceramic tablet unearthed at the site of Uruk is also inscribed with the words, "Do not look into the water on the night of the full." The expression, "spirit of the opposite," echoes the Egyptian god of mirrors. They both seem to represent a forbidden state of perception. A similar account is found in the ancient Chinese classic of mountains and seas. In the south, in the land of the Feathered Republic, legend has it that there is a tribe of people whose eyes are born on their backs, and they never look at the mirror in a positive way. Is this strange cultural overlap just a coincidence? Or does it stem from the same primal fear? Archaeologist Leopold van Cole, during a survey of the Assyrian temple site in the 1930s, found an inscription describing a mirror light test in the temple. According to the account, the priests placed a bronze mirror in front of the main idol in an attempt to reflect the true nature of God. As a result, there was a spontaneous combustion of the idol. It was not until 1974 that the inscription resurfaced in a private collection in Baghdad. When we look back today, why did the temple reject reflective objects so much? It was not because the mirror was unholy, but because it was too real. It reflects a face that God cannot hide, a void. While faith is built on symbols, while priests shape miracles with veils and light, a mirror, yet in a single moment, shatters all illusions. The mirror, a crack in the truth, and the last window the P. For if you see your true self in the temple of God, how much more meaningful is the majesty of God? All these historical clues whisper a forgotten consensus. The mirror is more than a tool. It is some kind of awakening device outside the ritual. Once awakened, there is no turning back. But the question arises, what was it that ancient civilizations feared when they were so wary of specular reflections? Was it light? Is it an illusion? Or is it some kind of hidden consciousness behind? In the following chapters, we will enter into the mysterious correspondence between the temple architecture and the mirror arrangement, revealing whether the invisible geometry is the real source of. Almost all ancient temples were built according to a strict, anti-symmetrical logic. They emphasized axes, but avoided mirror symmetry. In the temple of Karnak, the sacred path leads straight to the entrance. But the closer you get to the inner sanctum, the more subtly the path deviates. The idols do not face the doors, and the light, The same is true of the Parthenon in ancient Greece. Its columns appear symmetrical, but are in fact geometrically intentionally slightly curved and skewed to avoid constituting a true mirror. Why did ancient architects deliberately avoid mirrors when they knew the beauty of symmetry? A stone slab excavated from the ruins of the Hittite Empire gives us a clue. It is inscribed with a passage from the priestly regulations. The heart of the main temple must not reflect a double form. This phrase is hardly mentioned in the history of modern architecture, but when you put it in the context of the concept of reflection, it suddenly becomes strikingly clear. Temples are built for once the mirror exists, the gaze becomes two-way, and the single divinity is turned back, questioned, and even disappeared. Catherine Snyder, an expert in archaeological architecture, made a startling discovery while analyzing the layout of temples from the Peacock dynasty in ancient India. She found a mirror-polished granite slab on the tiles of the main hall of the Brahmin temple. It was so hidden that it could only reflect a narrow slit beam of light behind the idol at certain times. The beam of light was directed at a closed dome room on the periphery of the temple, which, according to local documents, was originally the residence of a banished deity. In other words, this mirror is not for human viewing, but is designed for observation by the divine opposite. The mirror, in this case, is not a human tool, but the eye of another being. If we widen our perspective even further, you will find a striking commonality. All the temples in which mirror remains have been found hide some kind of anti-god-centered geometric structure. A columns. Below the Babylonian Ishtar Gate, there are the remains of a sealed passageway, whose stone walls are inscribed with a special symmetrical pattern, a geometrical figure resembling optical interference. Modern scientists scanning with lasers have discovered that these patterns actually have a reflective angular interference effect, polarizing and rotating the natural light that enters them, creating, in other words, the ancients were using the temple space to eliminate reflections, to block out mirrors. It was not that they could not accept mirrors, but they could not bear to see another pair. Does this mean that when they built the temple, they realized that the mirror is not a physical refraction, but a rupture in the structure of the psyche and consciousness? It reflects not only you, but thus those intentionally skewed colonnades, those doorways that never lead to the idols, are not just architectural choices, they are spatial seals. Seal what? Maybe it's memories, maybe it's observations, maybe it's the eye of truth. So, these seals, do they really work? Why do civilizations still quietly hide mirrors in temples? In the next chapters, we will enter the black mirror rituals and reflection theology hidden behind the temple walls and find out, what did the ancients do with mirrors? What did they see? In our eyes, mirrors are everyday objects. But in the ancient priesthood, mirrors, especially black mirrors, were a forbidden art that had to be used in secret. It was not a sacrifice. It was not as, it is the ritualization of vision itself, a kind of visual apostasy as it is called. In the honest century BC, Hermes Trismegistus, an occultist from the port of Alexandria, had recorded in the scrolls a ritual called Skiasma Teu, Shadow of the Gods. Participants are required to stare into a black mirror for several hours in a confined space on the night of the moon's loss in order to tear apart reason by staring at a blurred image of themselves. This practice was completely rejected by the mainstream temples at the time and was categorized as sight defilement. However, According to later alchemical literature and the underground circulation, this black mirror ritual was widely practiced in the chambers of the Egyptian temple of Abydos, in the reflective obsidian arrays beneath the Mayan temple of Palenque, and in one of the mirror wells. There, an unfathomable mirror of reflection, with a caliber of only 22 centimeters, was ground out of natural obsidian. According to a manuscript left behind by the Persian secret order, the well. This claim was used by Western occultists in the 19th century as the basis for time vision rituals. Samuel Liddell MacGregor Mathers, the founder of the Order of the Golden Dawn in England, noted in his personal journal, "I looked into the black mirror in silence. It's not about seeing images, it's about losing a sense of direction, a sense of time, even who I am." We may laugh at these old-time illusions, but scientific research has provided an intriguing explanation. Neuropsychologist Giovanni Capriotti found in an experiment on the cognitive impact of mirrors. Prolonged staring at a black, unlit reflective surface causes a sharp decrease in activity in the self-perceiving area of the brain, anterior cingulate cortex, and induces identity ambiguity and in temples. When priests enter the oracle state in this way, the messages they receive are often considered to be guidance from the god in the mirror. This makes the problem dangerous, because it may even be the antithesis of the Lord God, the shadow god, the opposite consciousness, or his reflection. In the Mayan civilization, there is a name for a deity that has been erased by later generations. Itzam, Cab, meaning the devourer from the mirror. On the eve of a festival, the highest-ranking Pry, gazing into the mirror, alone, until dawn. According to the literature, 3 priests lost their voices, their sight, and their memory after the ceremony, and were named mirror nerds. Their behavior was, since then, the black mirror has been classified as an undisclosed weapon. Most temples destroyed them or buried them deep in the earth, sealing them with a spell. The few black mirrors that remain, history will not record them, and the Holy See will not allow them to be mentioned, for it is not a divine light, but a divine cleft. The thing in the mirror does not submit to the authority of it is, as it were, a projection of the original chaos. The longer you gaze at it, the clearer it becomes, until you no longer know who is looking at whom in the mirror. So why did end up being synonymous with curse if the mirror was the gateway to oracles and perception? Is it because it is too real, or is it that someone doesn't want us to see that side? In the next chapters, we'll pull the perspective back to the modern era, how are contemporary religious scholars and neuroscientists reinterpreting the mirror taboo? Where are the hidden mirrors today? Ancient temples have sunk into the sand or the jungle, but the curso today, mirrors remain a hidden taboo in modern religious rituals. In the Jewish mourning ritual of Siva, all mirrors in the home must be covered with cloth for 7 days. The traditional explanation is to avoid distraction, but the deeper belief is that the souls, in some Orthodox rituals, praying in front of a mirror is taboo, as it is believed that the mirror will intercept the blessing and let the light out. Even in modern Catholic monasteries, there are still mirrorless living quarters to prevent narcissism and to avoid disturbances and hallucinations. Are the warnings of ancient temples still echoing behind these traditions? A mirror gaze experiment, conducted by Harvard Medical School in the United States in collaboration with Tel Aviv University in Israel, has revealed disturbing findings. Participants were asked to look at their faces in a mirror for up to 10 minutes in a room with no sound or light interference. The results showed that 80% of the subjects reported facial distortions. 14% claimed to see images floating behind them. Scientists call this self-dissociation by prolonged mirror exposure. The fMRI data showed that the frontal self-recognition area and the parietal spatial localization system cross-talked during mirror gaze, a neural pattern that has never been detected in ordinary AB. It seems to intervene in the cognitive structure itself. This is something that even NASA touched on by accident. During simulation training for the Artemis program, astronauts were asked to adapt to time-delayed mirror feedback in very low-light space. They briefly believed that they were hostile individuals in the mirror and needed to be excluded. Since then, the training procedures have been urgently revised to include a psychological stabilizati. Meanwhile, in the field of cultural heritage preservation, a forgotten black mirror came to light in 2021, when an obsidian disc engraved with Mayan characters was discovered during renovations at the Part 21. It is wrapped in 6 layers of cloth and sealed in a stone box, with a seal that reads in ancient Spanish, "Seal its eyes to avoid misfortune." It is speculated that this may be the legendary mirror of 40N. Before colonizers burned the temple in the 16th century, it was sealed by priests to prevent it from seeing human beings. Today, the mirror is classified as a non-disclosable exhibit and is only to, at the same time, in the era of digital imaging, mirror image out of control has become a new hidden worry. AI image recognition system frequently makes mistakes in the mirror scene. It is impossible to determine the boundary between the subject and the reflection. Even some AI-trained models get stuck in a loop and eventually crash when confronted with constant specular feedback. It has also prompted tech ethicists to explore a deeper question. Do human beings place too much trust in the thing of reflection, without realizing that it is also shaping us? Perhaps this is at the heart of the ancient temple's ban on mirror reflections. It's not so much that you're afraid of what you'll see, but that you won't be able to stop being seen by it. We live in a world built by mirrors. The front lens of your phone, your face, the stainless steel in the elevator, your back, the social network avatar, your virtual double. But in the midst of all these reflections, do you still know which one is you? Ancient temples tried to seal this question, but we, instead, have made it a daily part of our lives. In the next chapter, we will have the ultimate pondering. Is the curse of the mirror a fear imagined by the ancients, or a truth yet to be understood by modern man? Is being seen and self-conscious now? Starting from an injunction on a stone slab, we traverse the spatial geometry of an ancient temple, deciphering dusty rituals, erased images, and deliberately ignored memories. And now, the question goes back to the beginning, and the deepest. The face we see, is it ourselves? Philosopher Jacques Lacan once said, "The mirror is the birthplace of the child's sense of self." But in all religious traditions, the mirror is the beginning of the division of divinity. The image in the mirror constantly repeats the question, "Who am I?" without ever really giving an answer. The Mayan elders said it devours the true name of man. The Jewish scriptures call it the labyrinth of the path of the dead. And modern neuroscientists say it's the most unstable window of the brain. So what are we running away from? Is it, as the words hidden on the back of the temple tablet say, it's not the mirror that curses us. It's the one in the mirror that we forget first. Perhaps the ancient temples sealed the mirrors, not out of ignorance, but out of reverence for the power of vision, an intuitive ontological perception that requires no words, no rituals, just a sing. It doesn't just reflect you, it scrutinizes you, records you, imitates you, and perhaps even replaces you. Can you still confirm that the reflection in the mirror is you looking at yourself, or is it, if, sometime in the future, we return to these ancient temples and find a still unbroken black mirror behind that deepest wall, would you dare to gaze upon it? The curse of the mirror, it was. Rather, it's whether you're ready when you finally come face to face with that truest version of yourself, to be seen by it. Call to action. If this story made you think and made your heart skip a beat, please like, subscribe, and tell us in the comments. Have you ever looked in the mirror and seen a strange version? What other ancient rituals and mysterious taboos would you like us to uncover? The curse of the mirror is just the beginning. Next, we'll walk together into the secrets of more civilizations sealed by. And don't forget, while we are looking at the story, too, is looking at us.